Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Digital Bridge launch webinar for our Workforce Training Technology program. Hope everyone's doing well this morning. My name is Matt Minner, the Director of Technical Services, and joining me is Dave and Francis. Dave, you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Dave Keene. I'm the Senior Continuous Improvement Consultant. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. And I've met Brian, actually. How's it going, Brian?
Yep. And Francis.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Francis Pan. I am an AI and data specialist here at Catalyst Connections. Very nice to meet you all.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Francis and Dave. We'll go ahead and get started, but welcome everyone. And this meeting will be recorded. And if you do, you'll need to share your mic or camera if you want to speak. You'll just have to accept that we're recording the meeting because this will be shared out, so it'll be available on demand. And of course, if you have any questions, any number of ways to do so, post in the chat in the Q&A, or just chime in. We're happy to make this as conversational as we can. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Okay, I think we've got it. Is everything coming through?
Looks good.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, again, welcome this morning to our launch webinar for our Digital Bridge program focused on workforce training technology. And so what we'd like to go through today, we'll share a little bit about the MEP network, get into our program overview, and share some of the other technical assistance that we can provide to help move you along this journey towards digitized work instructions and additional deployments of workforce training technology. And we'll share a lot of the resources that this program has to offer. So just first of all, as we get into this, you may already be familiar, but for those who aren't, Catalyst Connection, we are part of the Pennsylvania Industrial Resource Center program and the MEP network, focused on supporting small and medium manufacturers across the United States, with Catalyst focused here in Southwest Pennsylvania. And the kind of work that we do, we're focused on the consulting, training and events, technology adoption, and workforce development. So really working across the entire manufacturing value chain. And the area that we're focused around in this program is more so on the technology adoption combined with the workforce development, workforce training. And so to talk a little bit more around the program and give a little bit more background, really what we're focused on doing through this program is supporting workforce training technology deployment and the foundational work that may be required to get there. Everything that would help you move from what may be inconsistent processes, tribal knowledge. We see, thanks to this, our AI generated image here, we've got a lot of workers that know what they're doing, have the processes, have the tribal knowledge, but maybe a mix of work instructions or non-existent work instructions, and can be often quite challenging getting new employees up to speed. Then moving towards more of a standardized, but maybe highly paper-based or static, even if it is digital instructions. So, in a Word documents or PDFs, but largely static instructions. And then working on towards more of a digitized work instruction platforms, dashboarding, all those various technology tools that are, adjacent and can help expedite from a training standpoint, improve retention, reduce the workload for your trainers, for your people developing standard work, and putting all this together. So it's just trying to further leverage those tools in our toolbox around technology, but now focused in on that workforce training piece, which is so important with the common and frequent need to do more with your existing workforce, help get new workers up to speed faster, reduce those training costs, and improve retention, just become that employer of choice. So that's really the overall roadmap, is the picture of what we're trying to do with this program. A little bit of other details. As I mentioned, this is an extension of our Digital Bridge program, we received some additional funding from the Southwest Pennsylvania Commission. And this does support the same area as the previous, or as our Digital Bridge program. So our 11 county region this provides technical assistance. So that can be in the form of various assessments, standard work development, process improvement, and we'll talk about some of that. Dave's going to share a little bit more, dive in, just to share a little bit more of some of the work that we can do there. We have some training opportunities coming up, and then connection to a range of technology partners. And these are ones that we've developed partnerships with, but then this is also not exclusive. This is open to, if you've already developed some connections with technology providers that you're interested in or that are particularly good fit for you, we're happy to work with those in order to leverage the mini grant program, which we'll share a little bit more details on later in our presentation. And then just to reiterate the eligible counties that we have in our region. So that's, if there's any questions on those, but this is, I say, similar to what we had before. So with that, I'd like to have Dave jump in a little bit and start talking on the technical assistance side.
Thanks, Matt. Can you hear me okay? Make sure it's
sounding good.
Loud. Great. So again, there's so many challenges at every business, but certainly one is, if you think about, from your employees, setting your employees up to win every day. Are they doing the same tasks the same way every time? Do you have variation there? Do you have good baselines so that you can continuously improve and you can compare process to process over time? Think about too, when you do happen to improve processes, are you documenting it well? And are your employees following that, fairly close to the letter again and again and again? If you look at the variation in your quality, all of us would like, our customers like just nice, predictable quality, and they like their stuff on time. Sometimes, when processes aren't documented as well as they could be, you're going to get variation in the quality. You're going to get variation in lead times. Those aren't typically things we want. Again, do you rely any on tribal knowledge, or way too much on tribal knowledge? That's another tough one. Again, when you do that, sometimes things go okay for a while, but the second that person leaves, that key person, the knowledge walks right out the door, and it can be very difficult. And again, how painful is it if you ask yourself, bring in a new employee up to speed on his or her new job? These are the kind of things that we'll talk about, standard work can really help with. So that's a good chance for the next slide. Do you have that? Perfect. So yeah, so as Matt had sort of began to allude to, this digital bridge is a lot of cool things that, this will allow us to help with. And, things like assessing your standard work situation, mapping processes, implementing standard work. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with leader standard work, which is a fantastic tool as well. Again, it's standard work. It just, helps, is the detailed definition of how you do a job, and it's written as easily as possible to understand. Leader standard work is that there's lists of really almost like a task list of what are the things that I need to do as a leader every day, week, month, year, that I might forget. And so a very powerful tool as well. Again, KPIs, having good relevant KPIs, not too many, but enough to really make some decisions and drive your business forward. Those are huge. And having, that daily management alignment. And also we can do on-site coaching and continuous improvement support, which are things that are very, very helpful. Next slide. So for instance, if you were interested, you said, hey, our standard work, our job instructions, SOPs probably aren't as good as we'd like them. We can easily help with that. And we put a couple bullets here, but really it's a simple process. We can help you with just figuring out, all right, what are you currently using? What do you have as far as job instructions, SOPs? How do you, how's your training going? How is it conducted with these? And then it's just observing actually what's happening out on the shop floor without interfering. Don't want to muddy the waters, but observe what's going on, really get an idea of what the facts are, and then take that data, analyze it, try to figure out, all right, what are the gaps in the current process? With that, interviewing operators and supervisors then, and talking about, hey, how do you know what to do? How do you know this is the correct method? Do you have any workarounds? Some of you probably heard of the hidden factory, which has that work that happens sort of really off the books, off, off the charts there that to work around things that really shouldn't be happening. And it can be 20 to 40% of your effort. And then asking, operation supervisors, what are their biggest headaches? So we analyze all this. I'm sorry that I had to analyze the findings and gaps twice. It should be there. We look at all this, take this information, understand what's going on, and then we can give you recommendations to help, bridge that gap to the future state that can really get you moving ahead. So great. So when we develop standard work, not a complex process, but sadly, so many companies don't really take the time to do it. But again, what once you engage in this, you meet with the supervisors and the operators, capture that. You truly capture what are we currently doing, and capture that, get it in a nice format. And we have some great things. Matt will show you some things with Dazuki. Lots of great ways to capture it, easy to read, easy to understand format. Then once you have that, you train the supervisors because they need to understand it first. The next, determine the best way. How are we going to distribute this across your workplace? And then once you've figured that game plan out, it's train the workers on the new process. And finally, once they're all comfortable with the new, using work instructions, then it's just simply, creating a system so that you're constantly, periodically updating standard work, checking to make sure it's right. It is the most accurate version of what's going on. Toyota would call it, would say that their employees find little knacks here and there. Well, that's great. As you find a little improvement, you want to make sure your documentation it captures that. So shift 2 and 3 can figure out what shift 1, the improvement they made, so that it's used from here on out. And I love the quote from Taiichi Ono at Toyota. He's the father of the Toyota production system. He said, without standards, there can be no improvement. So great. Matt, next one. So again, we got plenty of trainings and workshops. We can customize them to fit people's needs, which is really nice. But again, standard work, which, as I put on there, it really is the cornerstone of operational excellence. It's hard to really hit your highest highs without having good standard work. Leader standard work, which I mentioned also, that helps, again, the leaders, especially from your managers or supervisors, a tremendously powerful tool that they can know in a day, okay, today, oh yeah, here are the 12, 14, 36 things I need to do every day. Leader standard work's especially nice also for brand new employees. Imagine a new supervisor coming in. Yeah, they've read their job description and they're meeting with their manager, but imagine handing them a leader standard work document that says, hey, look, this is what the typical day or week or month looks like for you. Makes it a lot quicker and easier to onboard and get them up to speed. Huddles, big fan of having good huddles. Sadly, this is underutilized by a lot of companies, but having that beginning of shift huddle doesn't have to be long, 5-10 minutes, just to say, hey, here's what we got going today. Here's how yesterday was. Here's our goal for today. Here's any special things we need to know about. Oh, by the way, it's so-and-so's birthday or somebody's anniversary, work anniversary. So it's a great time to get the team up to speed, prepare them for a good day ahead. And then, of course, at the end of the shift, having that the last 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes to say, hey, how did things go today? Any problems? How'd you solve them? Anything go right? Why did it go right? So a great time to capture the day and move on, get ready for the next day. KPIs, I talked about just a moment ago, super important. Having 5, 8 good KPIs that are useful at that point in the shop, that makes sense. They're good data that the employees can utilize to actually make decisions to improve your business. And I think as Matt sort of alluded to, we've got, for instance, on April 7th, we've got a nice workshop. I think, Matt, it's what, 3 hours or is it 8 to 11?
9 to 1.
9 to 1. Oh,
So
there we go. Yep.
4, we'll have some snacks. We'll likely have lunch as well, just for as we wrap things up, and be covering a lot of what Dave talked to there, but including some technology demos some of the tools that we'll talk about here. We'll be demoing Dazuki and how that has some power to take just a straight video that you take of the process expert doing the work, narrating the work that they are doing, upload the video, and then the tool creates your work instruction, probably gets you 80+% of the way there with just a little annotation, some other editing, but really streamlines that process, as well as can take existing work instruction documents, PDFs, Word documents, otherwise, and then bring it in putting it in a consistent format, giving you the opportunity to use the same types of annotation and other tools, and then how by putting these instructions in that platform, you're able to capture operational data in areas where it previously wasn't possible. You're talking about even an individual assembler having multiple assembly steps at their station. You could, instead of just checking, okay, well, it came into a station at this time and left a station at that time, so you've got maybe an overall process time. Now for each individual step that they complete, they can be engaging with that tool and gathering even deeper levels of data. So we'll show some Dozuki demos, also AI, and then we'll look at a dashboarding solution called Peakboard. So we'll have a few different things that we'll plan to demo for that workshop as well. So it should be a good session. Look forward to having many of you in attendance. And that QR code that you see there, that will take you over to the landing page where you can register.
And I'll add on that, for the parts that I'll present, I'll talk a lot about things you see here, and we'll have fun, participant events there. You'll have fun. So it won't be death by PowerPoint for sure. It'll be a really nice interactive morning there. And if you're in the, at 1 o'clock, you're right there near, go to Hofbrau House or the, that area afterwards. There's lots of good stuff.
It sounds like you're putting together the afternoon session, Dave.
That's right.
Okay, well, excellent. Thank you. And so with that, want to share a little bit more details on the mini grant program. Oftentimes that's one of the more attractive pieces. Now, the technical assistance that we can get at low or no cost, depending on the scope of those projects, because we have funds to help offset that cost. Then we have funds also where we're going to have 20 awards of $10,000. So $200,000 in our budget that's geared to go directly into your pockets. As you're working to deploy projects, maybe if there's a larger scope of some of the foundational work, we could apply them there. Largely, we're wanting to take this towards some of the technology initiatives. And so again, this is 20 awards and it has a very advantageous match percentage. This will cover up to 80% of a project cost, so really leaving you only with 20% match. And so the numbers there work out roughly to, if you invest in a $12,500 project, you can get $10,000 back. So very advantageous as it goes with our mini grant programs. And again, these are focused on workforce training technology projects, but also adjacent work that helps you get there, or things that are in that vein. So that's definitely something that, if you think you have a project that would be eligible, we would love to talk with you about that. If many of you have engaged with our mini grants before, obviously this is focused on manufacturers. We mentioned the cost match, they're paying at least 20%, and the located in our eligible counties. And then we just have an application process. So we need proposal, documentation, et cetera, but really very easy. We essentially complete the application for you. And this does have a tighter time frame because at least as it currently stands, our program runs through August of this year. So we are, in the heat of things in terms of awarding these projects. So working over the next 3 to 4 months to complete these. So that's where we're going to be working. And we will be able, even if the projects continue on, we're typically able to, by paying, the bulk at one time, even if the end date technically goes beyond these dates, we can work with you to make that come to fruition. And again, if you have any questions on any of these, post in the chat or go ahead and chime in. So just to expand a little bit further on the program eligible uses. And so this is, again, within that program focus of technology enabled training. So process improvement and standard work, all working towards getting those standard processes to then work towards improving work instructions, standard work, and moving into some of these other technology tools. If you have your own engineered products that you provide training to, oftentimes whether it's augmented reality or simulation tools. We have a couple of partners that have recently have some pilot programs around deploying simulation tools, so using CAD models and a lot of your information where they can create computer-based simulations for training purposes. That maybe for training people that are remote or in other areas, or on new products that aren't yet out. So that's some other areas, big data, AI, and analytics that all go towards supporting the workforce, and of course the digital work instructions. Those pieces, and oftentimes those are tied with LMS systems, training matrices, and other ways that just support cross training. So that's an overview there of the types of projects that we are typically supporting. And just to highlight some of the other technology providers, and these are partners that we have connected with and are exploring opportunities with, that are really great providers when it comes to a number of aspects. So on this first one is focused around the digital work instructions. And we both the Dazuki and Rewinder, we have webinar recordings that are up, and we'll see the link for our YouTube playlist for our digital discovery sessions that you're able to access. And then some additional ones, POCA, which is actually part of IFS. It's an ERP system that I know we have at least one client in our region that's utilizing that, that's utilizing IFS as an ERP. But that is another tool that many are using. And then Tulip, many might be familiar with those from some of their previous products that were focused around assembly and work instructions through projection, but they still continue working that way. It's almost like a light SCADA system to be able to gather data, but then also have work instructions and generate processes for use on the factory floor. The next one, and obviously AI has been big in the news, and whether the news or just we hear a lot around technology conferences. There was just the Think AI Summit that was held by the Pittsburgh Technology Council last month. And so AI is often, you hear it a lot around, office work and speeding your processes and doing, leveraging Gen AI, doing data analytics. But there's also some really great applications of AI when it comes to essentially a chatbot, but leveraging your training information, having an easier way for your workforce to engage with these materials. Maybe it's on particular pieces of equipment or processes. You essentially can upload all of your standard work processes, your work policies, your equipment manuals, and other aspects, maybe even customer information or needs, and being able to engage from a training standpoint, or just having them access the information they need that much easier and faster. So whether that's also helping with workflow and task automation, so that AI-enabled knowledge access. And there's also a number of tools that are working to address that big challenge that we talked about previously, which is that of tribal knowledge, how you go about capturing that in a way that is where you can incentivize the workforce to do so, where they understand that it's really just about capturing that information for supporting the processes. And so that's can be a challenge in and of itself, but there's a lot of different innovative solutions that are being tried when it comes to capturing the tribal knowledge. And highlighting Monarch Learning Labs, that was one of the systems around the simulation tools for training. So we do have some opportunities with them. They're looking to do some pilots with manufacturers. So if that's something of interest for you, that's definitely something we can talk about further. And then Problem Solutions, Cora, Delta Bravo, and Ledge, they're all AI-related platforms. So you have a couple of case studies here to talk through. The first one here, this is Rewinder with local company Cobalt. And we have two slides here talking about this case study, but somewhat from a different lens. In this particular one, the focus was around reducing back orders, and a big back order, and they really needed to reduce that significantly. They had a lot of turnover suddenly, so they were having to repurpose and essentially cross-train on the fly welders to do production assembly work. And that team had limited assembly experience, so it really dropped their productivity, and they needed better documentation to be able to cross-train and avoid these challenges in the future. So by standardizing their work instructions, they were able to improve their cross-training processes and just overall increase the capacity of their organization. And so they were able to reduce their back orders by 76%. And you see what they were able to achieve in a relatively short period of time, digitizing 12 machines, 55 procedures, and actually executing on those and getting feedback on over 600 of them in just the span of their first 3 months of operations. And this one, you see the link there. We do have a webinar recording specifically talking about this case study with Rewinder and Cobalt. So that would be something you may want to take a look at. The other side of the coin was just the improvement it had in their on-the-job training and the time that took. Typically took 4 days to get people up to speed. They were able to reduce that to 4 hours. They had a new hire, that was productive. He was new off the street and was productive within 4 hours. So just the drastic change that they had in their onboarding and training, you can see how obviously for the specific scenario where they needed to address a back order issue, but that's going to continue to pay dividends moving forward for them. Next, in a very similar vein, this is with Knox Company. This is a client of Dozuki. We also have a webinar that we did recently with Dozuki. You see the links there as to our digital discovery session. Knox Company does access control systems for first responders and facility managers. Essentially, when you have secure areas, but someone needs to access it that doesn't normally have access, so they're able to do that, say for firefighters or EMTs, otherwise to gain access. So a lot of hardware assembly, and they had a lot of trouble with frequent employee turnover. Each facility used different methods, materials, processes, so it just was not standardized, and they didn't have any centralized training programs. So they were able to gain over 1,000 hours back of what would have traditionally taken from a training standpoint through streamlining documentation and delivering training through the Dozuki platform, and it cut their onboarding time in half. And as you can quickly see, if you're bringing on new people, the time or the cost that it takes to get people up to speed, reducing that time drastically reduces that cost. And then lastly, we're all familiar with the iconic Airstreams. They had a pretty impressive result of 83% reduction in new hire turnover. A lot you can likely attribute to they really put in a lot of focus on that new hire orientation and actually created a 3-day orientation that they leveraged Dozuki to do. So they start to really get people up to speed and address the challenge where they previously didn't have good training or onboarding and lots of paper-based processes. So that's really how they were able to benefit from these systems. So you can learn a lot more through these on that on-demand webinar. So with that, just wanted to reiterate kind of how we get started. And it's pretty simple. Really just connect with us. Let's schedule some time to discuss what opportunities you have, whether it's things you're already working on or you're just getting started down this path. We're happy to talk through and see how this program might be able to benefit you, whether that's working and gaining technical assistance from Dave to help on those foundational building blocks, or maybe starting to connect with some of these providers that you might be interested in. Again, as I mentioned before, there's no quote preferred providers. If there's others that you've connected with that you feel are a good fit, or and maybe you already have that relationship, we're happy to come alongside and support those projects, and then just help you apply and get started. And then lastly, again, that QR code and the link that covers all our prior digital discovery webinars. So it has for Dazuki, for Cora AI, for Delta Bravo, Peakboard, list goes on and on. So we've got a lot of great materials there that you can reference, and definitely reach out with any questions that you may have. And my name is Matt Minner, and we've got Dave and Francis, who are we're all working together to support this program. So with that, are there any questions? Was there anything come through in the chat, Francis?
Yes, so Brian actually have questions. He asked, is the Somerset County eligible for the mini grant program? Because I noticed Somerset County wasn't highlighted in the slide.
Yeah, let's connect up, Brian, and we'll see what we're able to do, because that is not because it just, for some oddities, obviously it's one of our counties, and we made all efforts to include that in prior digital bridge programs. I'm not sure, we'll have to look, because it was definitely something that we wanted to include, and this goes back to when the digital bridge program started originally 3+ years ago. So let's connect up, and we'll see. I'll do some checking to see what we can do to, because obviously we want to find ways to support. So I think we'll be able to figure something out. But let's connect up, Brian.
Melissa, I also have a question. Our company has used a mini grant in the past. Is there any cap on how many times it can be utilized?
Let's see. So yes, in general, for mini grants of an individual program, so like you would only be eligible for one of this particular these 20 mini grants under Digital Bridge, but you could have had a Digital Bridge mini grant previously, and that would be fine. It's just within each grant program. So for this particular one, we haven't awarded any yet. So everyone, there's no one who's excluded at this point for this particular program. So that's a good question. Okay, so is that there's no others now that everyone's able to unmute if they so choose, Francis, is that right?
Yes, everyone, if you have any question, please unmute yourself.
So feel free to unmute if you have any other questions. I think we've covered off on everything pretty well. We look forward to connecting with everyone.
Don't forget that workshop on the April 7th is free. There's no cost to that, no matter where you're from. So that is, and that's down.
Here, I'll pull that one up. We got the QR code
at the mill. Yep, there we go. That is, there's no cost to that at all. So feel free to come, tell a friend.
Absolutely. Okay.
Well, thanks everybody. I will, Matt, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah,
look forward to talking with you, John. Thanks for joining in. If anyone has any questions or thinks of anything else down the line, you have our contact information. We'll share these slides out with all those who registered. So you've got that for your reference and can access any of the other links or webinars. And have a great, great rest of your morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everyone.